everybody, it's your ghoul, Pony, and today I am going to be pitching my ideas for Monster High themed attractions at the Mattel Theme Park. For those of you who don't know, Mattel is supposed to be opening the Mattel Adventure Park in Glendale, Arizona next year. So far, the only confirmed attractions are a Hot Wheels roller coaster, an indoor Thomas and Friends section, go-karting, a life-size Thomas passenger train. There will also be what they call immersive branded dining and experiential retail, whatever that means. Mattel has never actually referred to the entire park as a theme park, and I have a feeling that it might end up a bit more like Mall of America, where it's mainly a retail space with a few actual attractions implemented throughout. That being said, for the purposes of this video, I will be using the term theme park, and my ideas are mainly based off of that concept. So, without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to be starting off with the more realistic and doable ideas, and as we go down the list, it will get a bit more outlandish and fangooly. So, let's go. The Mattel Adventure Park is set to open in October of 2022, though I have a feeling this might get delayed. Regardless of whether or not it truly opens in October, the annual spooky season treatment is a long-held tradition of American theme parks. And when you're, Mattel, and you have basically an entire Halloween-themed franchise, it would only make sense to utilize it. Holiday decorations can greatly vary in cost and difficulty, so I think there's some options here suitable for any budget and commitment Monster High is given. You can simply have cobwebs and pumpkins strewn about, or you can go all out with full-on ride overlays and statues, etc. I know that at one of the Disney parks they bring out this headless horseman statue with a horse whose eyes glow red, and I don't think they're gonna do that, but oh my gosh, that would be super cool if we got a Nightmare and Bloodgood statue like that, but that's pretty unrealistic. The amount of Monster High that the Halloween decor would have is kind of dependent on how consistent Mattel wants the theming to be and how much they're willing to spend. For example, if they really want each themed area to be accurate, it would be kinda strange to have Monster High memorabilia in the Thomas and Friends section. I don't think Monster High is going to get its own area in the park. If it does, it'll probably be a pretty small area and maybe even a seasonal area that can be transformed into something else for the rest of the year. That being said, even if there isn't a year-round Monster High area, I think that you could dedicate at least like I said, some seasonal area. Just shove it into a little corner when October rolls around. Give us something, please. Thank you. If Mattel is fine with having brands cross over throughout the park, then you could have all of the Halloween decor be Monster High related, but that would be a bit more expensive, as it's certainly cheaper to get the generic stuff than try and, have everything be themed. As for specifics, you would probably have your standard Halloween staples like spiders and coffins. Maybe you could toss some skeletts or characters thrown in. I don't have any concept art ready, unfortunately, but you can imagine how killer the place would look if it was done well. If you really wanted to go all out, you could have some of the ghouls out rocking their Ghouls Rule looks, but that's pretty highly unlikely. Also, I would really love to see this one pumpkin display from Ghouls Rule. Come on, I just think it would be really funny. I touched on this just a little bit in the last section, but the second pitch is Monster High face characters, and I am begging you, please make them face characters and not mascots. They're mostly humanoid, and mascot Jessica Rabbit and Fairy Godmother haunt my dreams. While I said that having the ghouls in their Ghouls Rule looks was pretty unlikely, having them in their standard looks is much more doable, I think, especially considering that during the park's scheduled opening, Mattel will really be trying to market the new reboot. In terms of theme park expenses, characters are one of the cheaper elements you can add, since you're mainly having to pay for costumes and actors as opposed to needing to build or alter an entire building, or like build a whole brand new roller coaster. If you make these characters seasonal, you can reduce the cost a bit, though you're really not going to get as much use out of the costumes that you already paid for. If Monster High face characters were to come to the parks, I think we all know the most likely candidates are Draculaura, Frankie, and Claudine. Frankie would potentially cause a bit more hassle since she kinda has to be green, but it can and has been done. Gamora occasionally hangs out at the Disney parks. This complication and the fact that Claudine is the new main ghoul for the reboot lead me to think that she and Draculaura are a bit more likely, but really, if you're gonna have those two, you may as well just complete the trio. I would love to see more characters, and I think characters like Cleo and Laguna are possibilities, but I would really be surprised if they went outside the main 6. If they were to go outside of it, I think Abby's a pretty likely candidate, considering that as the series went on, she kind of snuck her way into the main group, and she's also a huge fan favorite. Also, despite being part of the original lineup, Deuce is pretty unlikely, if only because the snake hair would be, like, really difficult to do convincingly, so... I think that at least a few of, if not all of the stores at the park will sell Monster High related merchandise, but for this I am specifically talking about a themed store. It could be its own thing, or it could just be a section in a larger store. How themed a Monster High store would be, once again, depends on budget and commitment. You could go all out and do an area with like a facade that mimics the school and shelves shaped like the lockers that really makes it feel like you've just enrolled at Monster High on a highly fundraiser-based Spirit Day. Or you could just make the place look like Hot Topic. It really comes down to how much Mattel is willing to put into such a thing. They really seem to be marketing that their retail spaces are going to be an experience and not just a store, so I would hope they'd put some more effort into it, but it remains to be seen. Whether or not this is a whole store dedicated to Monster High or simply a store section will also affect things, but overall I think you could do something really cool here if you wanted, and of course it would attract Monster High fans who would probably buy quite a bit of Monster High merch because, you know, that's just how we are. Depending on what you do with the building, this store also has the perk of being able to be switched to a different theme as needed, which is very useful in terms of theme park design. We all know that exclusive dolls draw a huge amount of buzz, and Monster High is no stranger to the practice. From the incredibly sought-after San Diego Comic-Con exclusives to the ones that were only sold at Target or Walmart, there are so many Monster High dolls that were sold in part based on the idea that you could only get them in one place, lest you fall into the rising prices of the secondhand market. A Mattel Adventure Park exclusive doll or doll pack seems like a no-brainer, especially because your theme is already spelled out for you. Barbie, I think, could get away with literally just having an adventure park theme, but while you technically could do that for Monster High, I think it would feel a lot more out of place. My suggestion would be to give it a Scream Park theme in general, or you could monsterfy the name. Technically, it's been implied that Mattel and the Monster High line do exist in the Monster High universe, thanks to one of the Gory Gazette articles, but the logistics of that always hurt my head, so I'd prefer they keep it more general. Or maybe the school and students really have just licensed their likenesses to Mattel and are visiting the theme park that features them. Who knows? Stage shows are another theme park staple that can greatly vary in budget, but one of the really great things about them is that once you have the stage built, you can use it for multiple shows even within the same day, making it a pretty good investment. Although the shows are usually more expensive than, say, face characters alone, they can be switched out far more easily than a full-on coaster, dark ride, or building-based attraction. One of the reasons why I focus so much on this aspect in ideas in the early section is because although Monster High has a very dedicated fan base, it hasn't yet proven itself to be as much of a mainstay as something like Barbie. So the chances of any Monster High themed attractions eventually being changed to something else is pretty high, in my opinion. Taking this into account is a pretty good idea if you're trying to be realistic about attractions. Don't worry, we'll get into the unrealistic fangirling later. There is a multitude of things that you could do with a Monster High stage show. You could come up with like a whole new plot line, or considering that at this point there will have like just been a new live action film released, you could make a condensed version of that, similar to how they do Beauty and the Beast at Hollywood Studios. The fact that this will be a musical lends itself even better to the idea, as for whatever reason, music-based shows seem to be extremely popular. Budget for this really depends on so many things, so you could make it a very detailed high-end production with different costumes and amazing sets, or you could do what's more likely and use the same outfits the whole show with very minimal set pieces. Projection mapping can help with this a lot, as it makes it pretty simple to change the backgrounds, allowing you to have the characters go to multiple places without adding to the cost of the set too much. There is another type of stage show that could be done, which is maybe a little bit simpler and less story-driven, but I still think it would be a lot of fun. A few theme parks have done dance party shows, which are pretty much exactly what they sound like. These shows mainly revolve around playing some music, throwing some clips up on screen, and bringing all of the various characters out into the crowd to fang out with visitors, which is the main draw. While it may not be as big of a production as an actual musical would be, I think this type of event would suit Monster High well. Firstly, almost every Monster High movie ends with a dance party anyway, so at least it's thematically appropriate. Secondly, you could have Spectra be the DJ! No, just kidding. This would be a perfect occasion to bring out everyone's favorite rude, crude, jerky monster with terrible taste in music. Monster High already has quite a few songs that you could utilize, and you could even throw in a few choreographed numbers on stage in addition to the more chill numbers. Getting the licensing to other pop numbers would cost some, but Monster High has done it before, like this Reboot CD that I found at Dollar Tree for some reason. Regardless of which approach you take, shows like these provide a good sort of break from walking and entertainment for people who can't ride or don't enjoy coasters and the like. Shows like these also provide a chance to interact with the characters, which can be a very large draw to a lot of the audience. Alright everyone, hear me out. The Stein Creature Lab would be a Build-A-Bear type experience, where guests can create their own stuffed creatures. There would be a variety of different plushies to choose from, including some of the characters' canon pets, as well as hybrid animals and the lab's mascot, What's-It. This area would be themed to the Stein's laboratory, with all of the classic mad scientist staples, but with a glam Monster High twist, courtesy of Frankie, of course. There would be different package options, such as plushies that come with sound boxes, Monster High outfits, even different smells. It is protocol for the lab assistant employees to yell, "It's alive!" whenever a creature is completed. I imagine the boutique being a salon within the park, in which guests can get various makeovers with hairstyling, makeup, and accessory options depending on the package. There would be multiple package options which all vary in pricing and in what is included. Some packages would be themed after characters, with elements of their favorite colors or motifs, such as purple clip-in streaks for the Claudine package, and makeup with a stitch on the cheek for the Frankie one. Aside from the salon area, there could be a gift shop where you can purchase various Monster High-inspired clothing items and accessories. It could be under a brand new label, Wolf in Chic Clothing, which is intended to be designed by Claudine in-universe. Boutique is somewhat of a placeholder name for this, because I'm not sure if they'd actually be able to call it that, as Disney has the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, and they might think that's a little too similar, but I'm sure that you could come up with a totally clawsome name for this experience. Now we're getting into the really unrealistic stuff. May I introduce to you the Catacombs Stir. I imagine the Catacombs Stir being a indoor roller coaster dark ride, which sounds like really complex, but there are things like this, such as Spaceship Earth, which takes place in the golf ball that isn't actually a golf ball, and also things like Fire in the Hole, which are technically roller coasters as they have large drops, but really are mainly just a dark ride. And I think that that would really be the best type of thing you could do for something involving the catacombs, because you could start on the school level, and then the drop would be you going into the catacombs, and in the catacombs you like see all the weird catacomb stuff that happens in the catacombs. This place is wild, y'all. There is a train station down here. There is a castle ruins down here. Like, I don't know exactly what would be happening in this ride, but like you could do a lot with it. Also, I vote that there's a Hezekiah involved somewhere, because he knows his way around the catacombs, mostly. I mean, he got lost there, but like he knows his way now. Listen, I'm biased and I want him to be there. Alternatively, and more realistically, Operetta would probably be a good tour guide, because she actually genuinely knows her way around the catacombs. But yeah, Catacombs Stir. Let's do it. Let's go. I want it to happen. It's not gonna happen, but I want it to. And here at the very end of the video, we have somewhat of a catch-all and also the most outlandish idea, other than just making an entire Monster High theme park, which isn't gonna happen. But that would be making an entire land dedicated to Monster High. Now, theme parks tend to have different lands. At Holiday World, you have lands based on holidays. Disney World has like Frontierland, Adventureland, Fantasyland, and Universal has like their whole Harry Potter land, and then like their Marvel area, and their Simpsons section. So it's pretty common, it's pretty standard practice, you're gonna divide this thing into lands. And if you wanted, I genuinely believe there is enough material within the Monster High universe to make an entire land out of it. Are they gonna do that? No, but you could. You could make like a walk-through version of the school, or at least like have the facade of a building be the school. You could have like, I don't even know, like you could have the Catacombs Stir, you could have all of the things that I've previously said in this land. You could have food places, you could have the Crepeteria be a food place, you could have a snow cone stand that Abby runs, you could have like a Great Scarier Reef aquarium type thing, have like a ghost world thing, like you could do like a Haunted Mansion type ride, but it's just the school. Like, I don't know, there's a lot you could do with this if you really wanted to develop it. I think it would be fun. It's definitely not gonna happen, but like, you could do it! You could do it. I would love to develop this more, even though it's not gonna happen, just because it sounds like a fun little side project, but for now, I'm gonna leave it at that. And with that, I am going to call a wrap on this video about my ideas for Monster High themed attractions at the Mattel Adventure Park. As you can probably tell, as this went on, things got a little more crazy, but you know, it's fun, we have fun. If you all have any ideas for what you think would be fun to add at the Mattel theme park, feel free to tell me in the comment section, because I love that type of discussion and I would love to brainstorm with you all. Thank you scary much, and have a fantastic day.